Now, our second big challenge that we're facing right now involves different companies, different vehicles, different missions, but coincidentally is happening at about the same time, and that involves suborbital space tourism. So we're talking right now with about a half a dozen different companies, each of which is in the process of designing, building, and testing vehicles that can take people up to the edge of space, where they can look out the window and see the black sky, the curvature of the Earth, and experience the magic of weightlessness. Now, we know not all of these companies is going to be successful. Some will run into technical difficulties that they had not anticipated. Others are going to just run out of money. But there are enough good folks that are working on this problem, and there are enough people that are willing to invest in the efforts that I am absolutely confident that in the next few years we're going to see multiple companies that are on a regular and frequent basis completing suborbital human space flights. So we'll be seeing hundreds of launches every year, allowing thousands of people to personally experience spaceflight. I think that's really going to change how we think about space. It won't just be somebody you read about in the history books or see on the evening news. It'll be you or your family members or your neighbors or your coworkers. Basically anybody who can afford to buy a ticket. And that's really exciting. Now, just as one example, not because they're necessarily going to be the first or the most successful, but because Richard Branson likes to talk about what he wants to do, we've got the example of Virgin Galactic. And they have reached an agreement with Scaled Composites, the company that won the X Prize, to buy a fleet of 5 spaceships and 2 carrier aircrafts. And each of those is going to be a little bit bigger than the Spaceship One. It'll be designed for a crew of 2 and 6 passengers. And right now they're selling those tickets for $200,000 per person. Wow, a lot of money. But you know what? More than 500 people have signed up and put down either full or partial deposits. So the company has more than $60 million sitting in the bank right now, and the vehicles are not even ready to go. So I think that's an indication of the interest in the community in this type of an activity. And it's more than just a concept now. The carrier aircraft called White Knight 2 has been flying for quite a while. That's the largest all-composite aircraft ever built. Very unique configuration there with the twin fuselages. And the spaceship called Spaceship 2 has completed more than 20 glide flights where the vehicle was taken up to a 50,000-foot altitude or so, released, and then the pilot flew it back to a runway landing. The company is in the process of incorporating the rocket motor equipment right now in the vehicle, and we expect to see the first rocket-powered flights later on this year. After the testing is completed, they're going to pack up shop from Mojave and move out to New Mexico, Spaceport America, and that's an artist's concept of what it will look like. You notice there's not a lot of people nearby, and from a safety perspective, that's a very good thing. But it's actually a very beautiful part of the country, and work has gone on there too. Here's what it looks like today. The runway's done. They have a combination terminal hangar facility that's done on the outside, and they're just outfitting the insides right now. They had a dedication ceremony back in October of 2011, which I was privileged to attend. Very exciting. They officially christened the building the Virgin Galactic Gateway to Space, and they expect to be all set to go by the time the vehicles have completed their test program. Now, this is an example of local support, too. NASA has nothing to do with this project. This is suborbital space tourism. But the state and community have really gotten behind it. I like to reflect upon one of the biggest supporters, former Governor Richardson, and what he used to talk about in his speeches. He used to get up in front of the groups talking about the spaceport and why they were doing this, and he would ask, do you know what the biggest export is for New Mexico? It's their kids, because there are no jobs in the area, and when they left school, they would go elsewhere to try to find employment and a future. And they decided, hey, we need to turn that around. So let's pick an area that is exciting, that is motivating, that has the potential to be the next internet or whatever, and this is it. So this is a $200 million project. The state has put in money. The citizens have actually voted upon themselves a sales tax. Imagine that in today's world. And Virgin has entered into a rental agreement. So this is a big deal. It's another one of those betting on industry cases that we were talking about earlier today. And it'll be very exciting to see how that plays out. So one of the questions that I get when I talk about this frequently is there really a market for all of this? I mean, how many adventurous millionaires can there really be? And the answer is quite a few. If you look at some of the studies that have been conducted, Vitron did a famous one a few years back, and they didn't just go up and down the street and say, hey, do you want to go to space? Do you want to be an astronaut? No, they look to find out who has the financial resources, the savings or the disposable income to be able to buy those expensive tickets. And a surprisingly high percentage said, yeah, I'd love to go if there's a vehicle that is available to do that. And so Vitron estimates that this could be a $1 billion a year industry by 2021.